Okay, so let's jump to this side panel here. I want to talk about those two, draw curve and draw solid panels. Those are for creating 2D and 3D primitives. Let's go to this right view. First tool here is lines tool. We have two options under this one, line and polyline. And every time you use one of those tools, you see that different dialog box will appear in this section. And this dialog box will tell you what to do. So in this case, you need to pick start point. I just need to click somewhere, and then you need to pick end point. So if you click second time, Moy will finish that operation and it will create this straight segment. And you have this both sides option. If you check that, you can now create this line from this center point. So you need to define this center and then click to define one of those endpoints. So that's all about line tool. Just refer to this dialog box. If you're stuck and don't know what to do, it will tell you. So for this polyline, again, we need to pick start point. I can click here, and then I need to pick next point and so on. And I can click like this all day long if I want. If I want to finish, I can go here and hit this done button, or I can right click on canvas. So that's how you use polyline tool. Second tool here is freeform. We have three modes. First is with control points. You need to pick start point and then next point and so on. So in this case, I will define those control points that will define details on this line. I need to place more of those control points if I want more details, and less of those if I want more smooth surfaces. And if I want to finish, I can hit this done button or right click on canvas. And we have one option here which is called make corner point. If you check this box here and then click, this point will be sharp corner. So you have this sharp corner every time you click on this option. And you can do that many times in a row like this to create those straight segments. And then you can continue to place those control points. So that's how you use first mode. Second mode is true points. You can define this curve with those so-called true points. So in this case, our curve will go exactly through those points. So this different approach. Also you have this make corner point option if you want to create those corners. So that's second option here. Third one is sketch. You just need to click and drag to create curve. So just click and drag like this to create this sketch curve. So that's all about second option. Next tool is rectangle. Super simple. We have three modes with two opposite corners like this, with center and one of those corners, and with 3 points like this. And all of those modes have this checkbox round corners. If you check that and create this rectangle like this, after you finish with this third point, Moy will ask you to pick round radius. So you can slide like this and click to define this radius, or you can type that radius here in this field. Let's use 1.5 millimeters, hit OK, and now we have those round edges. And you have that option in all those three modes. Let's move to next tool here, which is called polygon. With this tool you can create n-sided polygon. You have, let's say, pentagon, or you can change this to three sides and you have triangle, or you have, let's say, 12 sides like this, and so on. So first you need to define number of sides here. Let's use 3 sides, and we have this option here. If you check that, now Moy will snap your mouse to one of those midpoints of one of those edges. But if you uncheck this, your mouse will be snapped to one of those corners. So those two different approaches if you want to define that shape. And remember that you can use all those options here with any of those tools. If you, let's say, turn on straight snap, you can orient this triangle like this, perfectly vertical or horizontal if you want, and so on. You can snap. If you use object snap, you can start from this point and create something like this. So you can do different combinations with those snap options with all those tools. Second option here is edge. You can define this polygon with one of those edges. So you need to place those 2 points that will define this edge, and Moy will draw the rest of this pentagon. and everything else is the same. You have number of sides, and also you have this flip option. So in this normal way it will create this pentagon in this left side, but if you flip with this option, this will be created in this right side. Super simple stuff. Let's move to star tool. You have first you need to define number of sides. Let's use 5, and if I use this auto style, that will create perfect star like this. But if you change that to custom, now you first define perfect star like this, and then if you move your mouse, Moy will snap your mouse to those in between points, so you can define different style for this star. So you can go like this, or you can create a spiky star like that. So that's how you use star tool. Next up is circle. We have 4 options. First one is with center. You need to define center and then move your mouse to define this radius distance, or you can define it with diameter, and those are 2 opposite points. We have 3 points method. You can define first and then second point, and then slide like this to define this third point. And also we have this tangent mode. That's super cool. If you want to create tangent circles, you can place point on this curve and this one, and then slide like this to define this perfectly tangent circle. Let's move to arc tool. We have 4 options. First is with center. You need to define center and then start point, and then you can slide like this to create this perfect arc. Count method is a bit different. You need to pick start point near the end of a curve. So you can use this curve. Let's use this end point. And now if I slide like this, you see a live preview for this arc. So this will create perfectly tangent arc to this point. And you can use that if you want to create really organic shapes. Let's say something like this. Really fast. I use this a lot if I want to create some really cool logotypes for my designs. So you can use Moy not only as a 3D modeling tool, you can use it as a drawing tool also. Next stop is 3 points method. You can define first point, second point, and then slide like this to define this third point. And also we have this tangent mode. So if you have, let's say, curve or any other element like this, you can use this tangent mode here. You need to pick first point on a curve. Let's use this one. Pick second point on a curve. Let's use this one. And then I can slide this circle like this and just click, and Moy will ask me which side I want to keep. So I can move my mouse like this and just click to define which side I want. So that's 4th method here. Let's move to ellipse. We have 3 methods with center, and you can define 1 radius and then extrude second radius with diameter like this, and then you can extrude this second radius, and with corners like this. Super simple. Let's move to this more option. Under this one you have 3 more options. Point will create only a point like this, so you can use that if you want to snap only to points. Helix will produce a 3D effect. You can define first point, then second point to define this axis, and then you need to pick start radius and anchor point. So with this point here that is snapped to my mouse, I can define at the same time radius, distance, and also start point for this helix effect. So you first need to define this axis, and then this radius, distance, and position for this starting point. And we have a few options here. You can define number of turns with this one. Let's use 20. Or you can define number of turns if you want to define this length between 1 revolution. You can use, let's say, 2 millimeters, hit OK, and that will define this number of turns in that way. So you can do it like this, or you can reverse twist in different direction. So that's how you use helix tool. And last one here is conic. If you want to create uneven arcs, you need to pick 2 points like this, and then you can define this, let's say, angle, and then you can slide like this to define this uneven arc, and this arc will be tangent to those 2 lines. So first you need to define first point, second point, and then define this angle like this, and then you can slide to define this arc like this. Sometimes that can be also handy. Let's move to Draw Solid panel. In this panel we have 3D primitive creation tools. You can create a plane like this. You have 3 methods with center point, with 3 points also. You have you have box tool like this. You can create a base and then extrude up. Moi will snap your mouse to this point, so you can extrude like this, or you can create this base with center point and then extrude up like this. And also we have 3 points, so that's super basic stuff. And every time you're stuck, just refer to this dialog box here and you will be fine. So that's box tool. Let's move to sphere. You can pick a center point first and then pick radius. You can move your mouse to pick it like this, or you can type radius here. Let's use 10 millimeters, hit OK, and now we have this sphere. Cylinder, also super simple. You need to pick base point and then radius like this, and then you can extrude it up or in any of those directions. And also cone will work in same way. So that's all those. And we have text tool. If you want to create text, you have this field here. You can type text here. Let's use Moi 3D. You can change font here, style for the font. You can change height. Let's use 12. Thickness, let's use 3 millimeters. And we have 3 create methods. If you choose solids and hit done, that will create 3D text. If you use the second option, surfaces, and hit done, that will create only 2D surface. And if you use the third option, which is called curves, this will only create outline curves for that text. So that's how you use all those tools here. Let's now move to this midsection of the toolbox.